Yeah, so everything did start for me here at my high school. Basketball was my first love, and so I wanted to play basketball, like that's what I wanted to make it in, but it was quickly apparent like that was not going to be the thing. So it was my freshman year and I didn't know a lot of people, and so my dad and my brother just encouraged me to go out for the track team, really just to meet people, and that's what I did. I came literally straight from basketball and I had like my basketball shoes on, basketball shorts, and right to the middle of this field, the coach had everybody running 60 meters and I ran 60 meters. And my coach had kind of like a confused look on his face and he asked me to run it again. And then the second time he brings out his measuring wheel and he measures the distance back. He's like, can you do that again? And we go back and forth with this. And then finally he kind of pulls me to the side and he's like, you're really fast. Where did you come from? Like trying to get my whole story. And that's really where it all began. I fell in love with the sport. I found those friends that I was looking for, my kind of people. And I really thrived off the competition. I love that in a race, you could tell who was the fastest, like right then and there. There's nothing subjective about it. And it really like made me feel alive. Yeah, so my dad ran in high school, and my brother was currently running at a different high school. So we're, just growing up like an athletic family, I guess. I grew up in the neighborhood. Me and my brother would have like street races. We would, ride our bikes and just be really active. And so they were definitely like super influential in me, finding the sport and then just being athletic in general, in my upbringing. We've always had a really special relationship. I always tell people like, right away if you can work with a sibling or not. Most people can't, but he's always been like the storybook big brother. He has been my protector. He's been a best friend to me. We went to the same college together. We were roommates. When I was growing up, he just always looked after me, and I was always known as like Wes's little sister because he played basketball and he was really great. And so when I came along, I'm 2 years younger than him. Everybody knew him, but they didn't know me. So I never even had a name. I was just Wes's little sister. And so finally I started to come into my own. But the relationship has always just been one where he's been a hero of mine, and I've always just looked up to him and feel like we've grown together, and it's been so much fun to work together in different capacities and just build together. And just found my thing. I definitely felt like I started to come into my own, and then it kind of reversed. They're like, oh, you're Allyson's big brother. So we always joke about that. But I would say towards the very end of high school, that's when things got really serious for me. My high school coach did an amazing job of finding races for me that had a high level of competition. So professionals, he would enter me in these invitations, and I would get to race against them. And so towards the end of high school, we realized that, I had the ability to kind of go on a professional level. And that's really when things kind of shifted. Yeah, it was a huge decision. It was a really hard decision at the time. No one had done it before in track and field. And so it was kind of like this unknown. But my brother, I was going to USC and Wes was at USC. And so it was kind of a timing decision. The Olympics were going to be the next year. And what I had really seen from Wes being at USC is that you needed to be a team player if you were going to compete collegiately. You needed the NCAA finals. That's what it was all about. And so we just kind of made the decision that to give me the best chance to make the Olympic team, I really needed to focus in on performing there. And it was kind of bittersweet because obviously track is a very much so team sport. People don't get that part of it, but there's that camaraderie, and I felt like seeing him and his teammates, I also wanted that, but at the same time, I really wanted to make the Olympic team. So I felt like making that decision really just kind of lit the fire for the Olympics and everything to come with that. It was really hard when I went pro but was still a regular student at USC. I think it was just way harder than I thought it was going to be. I imagined it would have been something like high school where, you know, you go to class and then you have practice and everything is great. But it was difficult. It wasn't seamless because I wasn't competing for the university. And all of my competitions were pretty much overseas. And so I was really just juggling adjusting to college, but also being a professional and what that meant, and also just being a young woman and, you know, all of those transitions. So the first couple of years were really just bumpy, and I was trying to figure out like, okay, what works for me, trying to explain to professors like, okay, I'm gonna be in Switzerland and I need to take a final, and like all of those like logistical things as well. So it was a process of like figuring it out, and I would say towards the middle and end I kind of found my footing and found my way. Oh my gosh, it's just an enormous honor, you know, something that I never would have imagined, but also like this weird full circle moment. My grandmother I grew up in the neighborhood of USC, not too far in the Crenshaw district, and my grandma used to walk us literally through the USC campus to the Rose Garden. There was these amazing museums there, and it's just been a part of my childhood. So to have that field, you know, in my name and knowing that my daughter will grow up seeing that, it's just even hard to put into words, and also just the reason behind it. You know, when President Folt shared the news with me, she really emphasized that it was because she wanted the students to know my story and about creating change and character and integrity and all of those things, and to me that just made it so meaningful. Yeah, I feel like I definitely found like purpose towards the last, you know, 2-3 years of my athletic career. It really shifted for me. Instead of like this focus on solely, you know, the medals and performing, it was like, wow, I can actually use my voice. I can make things different. And I think it's just been this really nice transition, you know, from competition out to still support things, you know, in the sport. But also do things outside where I'm really pushing for things to be better. Yeah, man, I'm like a true California girl through and through. I think growing up here, it's just being exposed to like a level of excellence, you know, with the sports teams, and I feel like it's a place where people really go after their dreams, and you see that like just relentless push towards it. And I think that really shaped me growing up, you know, just to strive for the highest, you know, and that you don't put limits on anything that you want to accomplish. Like, it might sound silly to even say some of your goals, but you can go for them. And I think that's something that's really special and unique to being in LA. And then in creating Saysh, you know, it was just, it was born out of a need, you know, and my need. And so it's very special to have it rooted in, you know, Los Angeles and just in my community and the people who have shaped my life. And I just feel very, very proud, you know, to be able to bring it into the world. And I think a lot of it has to do with just how I was raised. I mean, starting a business has almost been like going back to the starting line. And in a sense, it has been really scary because it is so different than what I have done what I've been doing for the last 20 years. I think the biggest thing is that it's rooted in purpose. And I think that's what drives me and motivates me, but it doesn't take away how hard it is. And had I known probably how hard it was going to be, I don't know, but I feel like I'm absolutely where I'm supposed to be. But it is, it's, you know, it's a new industry, it's a new set of skills, you know. It is leaning on some of the things that helped me excel in my athletic career. I feel like I know how to work hard. You know, for the last 20 years, every 4 years, I've had 21 seconds to show the world, you know, what I had been doing. And so I feel really confident in that part. And I think things in this world may be called different names, and, you know, I'm adjusting to that part. But I know excellence, and I know, you know, how to put my head down and do the work. And so in one sense, it is really scary to put yourself out there and to go after something that's really ambitious. In another sense, it's really exciting. It's a new chapter, it's a new phase. And I just believe deeply in what we're doing. I think at the core of everything that we're doing is that we feel women deserve better, and that's why we show up every day. And so I know it's going to be a You know, it's a hard journey, but one that I'm looking forward to all the twists and turns of it. You know, when I was growing up, people starting companies, like in our neighborhood, that's not something that we saw. And I think that made it scary because it was just very unfamiliar, it was outside of our comfort zone. I think there were a lot of doubts, you know, like, would we be able to do this? But at the same time, I do think that we need more representation. We need more companies that are founded by women, more companies that are founded by people of color. And so I think it's just all of these opportunities, you know, to be that person. And so it's, you know, saying, yes, it's gonna be really scary and it's so different from what I've done, but I think it's something that's really needed. You know, more than anything, like, we just show that you don't have to go the traditional route. And I think that in the running community, things have been done a certain way for a really long time. And sometimes we just have to break out of that mold and put yourself out there. So I hope that people see that.
Just the start.
Just a start. Yes.